All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome back. Um, s- I'm taking a break from work, and I'm exhausted as usual. You could say. As a sleep last, my default assumption is that you either work hard or you are lazy really hard, right? I not even play hard, just be super lazy or be super productive. There's no in between. Um, and so I bring this up because this video is going to be me, I guess, revisiting the insight that David Shan provided when it comes to the energy dom approach to living, right? As I've described in a previous video, the energy doms seem to want to create an oasis at all times, right? They want to be in an environment where they can work and get things done, but in a way that doesn't push themselves too hard, right? So there's a balance between work and rest, work and play, right? Work and relaxation. And this is a very new insight to me. This has never occurred to me as something that I could do. And I'm not even joking about that. I've never considered this in my life. So I'm very grateful that they shared this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip. This is from, of course, this Q&A right here. So feel free to look that up. But I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to discuss how, I guess, I struggle with this. And I guess just talk about how, for any infodoms who are listening, what you can do to maybe create more of an oasis and more of a peaceful approach without burning out, as opposed to working super hard. So let me go ahead and play this.
Right.
So with the energy dominance, it's like we, of all the millions of people energy dominance, they end up with this massive void in communication. Because it's like when you and I sit down and have personal talks, it's like, I'm going to either monotone blast or you're going to monotone consume report.
Yes.
And then the other person is just like, I don't learn when it comes to talking.
Right.
We learn by doing.
Going and doing.
Yeah, so like you just suffer through the conversation.
Right.
And you grab bits and pieces of what they're saying, of what you've already processed, because you're consume and blast are on the poles. You're not going to like have fun in the middle with it.
And one of the things that Ikram was saying was like, because where her superpowers are is the consume and blast, that's where they thrive. For you and I, it's let me go do my work while I'm cozy tying, and I'm going to work and get things done in my peaceful time, and that's where my superpower is. So if somebody wants to have a negative conversation where they're like, let's talk this out,
you're interrupting our work time, or I'm done with my work, you're interrupting my rest time, you better hurry the fuck up.
Hurry the fuck up. Yeah. And so what that causes is like cauldron, Cancer energy, because what we will start doing is having liar conversations where if I'm seeing that somebody's going to bring a bullshit conversation that's going to expand and take away from my work time, I'm like, everything's fine, okay. And now you're now creating a larger void in the communication realm where you just stop being friends with somebody, you stop talking altogether.
It feels like every once in a while we'll have people over and there's like nothing to do. A lot of times people come over, we're like, I got a lot of work to do and you're going to do work with me. Like we're that energy dominant, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me stop here. I didn't realize we were going to go on that long. But so there's lots to unpack there. Now, they made this video, or they made this section in the context of maybe sharing the darkness of being energy dom. But, for me, I mean, I saw this as a kind of a source of hope for me, right? I was like, oh crap, I didn't know I can do all this. I didn't know I had the permission to do all this, so starting off from the beginning, they talked about how they don't learn by talking, they learn by doing, right? And that's a very, very new concept for me. I'm very much a talker. I'm very much an arguer or a debater. And learning via doing, it's like, well, what else is left to learn if I know the information? But I do think that there's a wisdom to that, right? There's only so much that we can describe, right? There's certain things that is indescribable, and you can only really understand by experiencing it, by living it. And, not just for me, but like with a lot of my energy dom friends in real life, that's kind of been the biggest issue they've had, or one of the biggest issues they've had with me, is that I'm so busy in my intellectual world that I won't like go out and have fun with them, or go out and, spend time with them, really. So that was kind of one thing I took away from that. But more importantly, so when Shan started talking about the working in their cozy area, that was what stood out to me the most, right? So what they're doing, so going to the checklist here, is they're balancing sleep and play. So sleep, yes, I'm going to just go with the original definitions, right? Yes, it has preserve energy and all that, but sleep is stopping and going over known information, doing things repeatedly. while doing also play, which is defined as getting things done and learning from the tribe, right? So later on in this Q&A, apparently it's just taking a long time. So, but if you watch it later in the Q&A, they give a few examples. Like, so Dave, for example, talks about he watches YouTube videos while working. He sits on the couch. He plays chess while he's working. Shan talks about how she, I think she wears like comfortable clothes and she wears a blanket, right, while she's working, just so that you're not burning out your system, right? And I've never, like, when I tell you, this has never occurred to me. Like, when I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. Like, when I'm relaxing, I'm knocked out, right? And that's kind of the weakness, I guess, of the infodoms, is like when we finally do get to work, it's this obsessive, let me get every single thing done all at once. And I guess this was a humbling thing for me to realize that, oh, I have permission to relax and not push myself too hard. And that doesn't mean I'm a bad person per se. One thing I guess I will mention, though, is, so for me, I'm sleep last, right? And so it's like, okay, how am I going to be energy dom? And I've mentioned this in the previous conversation. But basically, I would need to do more sleep. And so for me, I'm probably doing enough, right? I'm probably doing more than enough because I'm double activated on play. So I'm probably getting a lot more things done than is even needed. And I'm probably learning way more from the tribe than is needed. So what I need to do to start creating more of that oasis is I need to stop and go over known information. And one thing that's going to start happening as a consequence is all the symptoms associated with sleep, right? So if I'm going over known information, I mean, I'm going to want to be relaxed while doing that, right? I'm not going to be too stressed out. I don't want to be too stressed out while I'm going over known information. So there is going to be a cozy factor that introduces itself, at least in my life, when I do go over known info, right? Known info for me also has to do with a lot of emotional stuff. So it's like, getting myself in a good emotional state, replaying music that I like, right? Putting on movies in the background that I know I like to get me in a more relaxed mood, right? So all of these things, I do think on my end, and for anyone who sleep last, that repetition is going to relax you enough to create that cozy environment, and so that you don't burn yourself out anymore. Now, as for the play last, this is a little bit different, right? So the play last, they are, they're kind of fixated on learning via repetition. They're kind of in their little bat cave, tinkering over their same things over and over again. So what they need to do to create this oasis is they need to do not sacrifice the sleep, but you need to introduce other people to that sleep. So it's almost like bringing new people into your world and allowing there to be some social interaction while you're in that space, right? So like a good, well, there's two good examples. One's real, one's fictional. The real example would be Jerry Seinfeld, right? Where it's like, he has this series called Coffee and Cars. I forgot what the fuck it's called, but he has this series where he has his favorite cars, right? He has his coffee, so he has his favorite things, but then he talks to new people, right? It's like every week. So it's like this, I think it's a YouTube series where it's like he's talking to random new people while they're in his little sleep world, right? His little routine of getting in his favorite cars and getting his favorite coffee, right? And then the fictional example would be Batman himself, right? Batman's a very good archetype for sleep savior, right? Works alone, lives alone, just, goes over his subjective plan to save Gotham, right? But his oasis is when, whether it's in the comics or the movies, it doesn't matter. It's when he brings people into his world, right? Catwoman, Alfred, Robin, things like that. It's like when he allows himself to have a family, to have a home within his sleep world, that's when it's kind of a more peaceful environment. So that's about it. I probably rambled a little bit much, but I am extremely grateful that this was shared. I am trying to practice it more. I don't think, some of the tactics like sleeping, working while putting on YouTube videos, or working while working with a blanket over my head, sometimes I am stealing that for sure. But I think as for the other ones, I honestly feel like I would get too distracted if I were to do that. Like if I were to play chess, or if I get too distracted. So my focus would be, in order to create this oasis, is just to keep practicing sleep like I am. And then for anyone else who's infodom or play last, it would just be practicing more play and then just bringing people into your world. So that's it. Hope this made sense. Hope you enjoyed. I do recommend this Q&A. Info versus energy dom breakthrough, and it's towards the second half when they really start talking about these tactics. So really appreciate them sharing that. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys are having a great week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.